fountain, Lord, just come from the fountain. His name so sweet. Oh Lord, I just come from the fountain. I'm just from the
There are some who say it is where your people come from that really matters. But to anyone who knows what it really means to be an American, knows that it's what's in the heart that matters.
Long before the birth of this nation, Hartford was the home of many sons and daughters of Africa. They came from many lands and from many kinsmen. Their bodies had been brought in chains, but their hearts sang a song of freedom. Slavery had made it a difficult passage for blacks in Hartford. Unlike others who had come here to find a better life, Hartford's first blacks were forced to come here to make life better for others. In a new world of small joy, the welcome given to the first Africans by North America's oldest inhabitants was a precious comfort. From the early days of slavery, the African American and Native American communities have sojourned together.
The hope of freedom and the love of the land was nowhere more apparent than in the actions of those blacks who fought in the Revolutionary War. Black soldiers from Hartford fought in 3 New England units: the Bucks of America from Massachusetts, the Rhode Island Colored Unit, and the 2nd Company of the 4th Regiment of the Connecticut Line. By their service, many gained freedom, and for some, even their American citizenship.
By the 19th century, most blacks in Hartford had been living in the city for more than 2 generations. This was the only home they had ever known, so they struggled to make it a place where their children might see a better day. Blacks fought vigorously to end the institution of slavery and to gain the rights of full citizenship.
For over a century our people have tilled the soil. Our blood, our sweat helped build this country. Now it's time we reap the rewards from our labor.
In 1819, the Connecticut legislature amended the Constitution, specifically to reserve the vote for white male citizens, thus denying blacks an important right, the right to vote. So although the battle against slavery in the state was progressing, the struggle for full citizenship was meeting unexpected hurdles. Politics was not the only area in which blacks faced increasing exclusion. The churches in Hartford began to segregate their worship services. Blacks understood this to be a sign that things were changing. So in the age-old Yankee tradition, they created their own institutions. In 1819, the black members from the Baptist, Congregational, and Methodist churches came together to form the African Union Meeting House. This first black church became the center of black political and social life. Within 15 years, this small group would give birth to 2 independent churches, the Talcott Street Congregational Church and the Zion's Methodist Episcopal Church.
In their day, these churches became the most important establishments within the black community. Within their walls, the first 2 schools were founded to educate black children. The Talcott Street Church became the home for the North Colored School, and the AME Zion Church became the home for the South Colored School. The children in these schools learned from some of the most gifted leaders of the day: J.W.C. Pennington, Ann Plato, Henry Foster, and Selah Africanus. These churches also became the hub of activity for the abolitionist movement in Hartford. Men such as James Mars, Augustus Washington, and James W.C. Pennington became forceful leaders in the movement to end slavery. They worked very hard together but had very different ideas about what was best for the future of their people. Some, like Washington, thought that the best thing for the blacks was to gain their freedom and return to Africa, while others, like Pennington and Mars, believed that blacks had sacrificed and contributed far too much to the building of this nation to walk away. Whatever their disagreements, they agreed on one thing: slavery must end.
The Civil War had brought an end to slavery and a new status for blacks in America. The Reconstruction laws, which had guaranteed blacks the rights of citizenship enjoyed by every other American, led many blacks to believe they were facing a new day. However, with the Hayes Compromise in 1877, the government had removed the garrisons of federal troops from the South and turned over political control to the local authorities. With this act, a reign of terror was unleashed throughout the South. Thousands of blacks fled west and north. Many of those who fled came to Hartford.
The first wave of Southern immigrants brought with them new ways and new institutions. The First World War would start a second wave of Southern immigrants who would change the character of Hartford's black community forevermore. By 1931, these immigrants and their children would make up a majority of the blacks in Hartford. Recruited to work in the fields of towns around Hartford, these people not only found work, but also a new life.
It is often said that America is the land of immigrants. These people came seeking opportunity. Among the many immigrants who came to Hartford were the sons of the Caribbean. During the Second World War, the shortage of agricultural workers led the federal government to begin the Farm Work Program. Through this program, thousands of men from the Caribbean came to work the fields of Connecticut. It would not take long for the workers who settled in Hartford to meet their wives. Many others brought their families from home to help build a new community. The story of the black community in Hartford is not one upon which the book has been closed. The activism and courage of this community is continuing to build a brighter day for the city of Hartford and all of its people.